All right, we're going to work with not only telling time, but talking about it in multiple ways. So you all had this clock in your bag. You'll eventually need it, but for now, I want you just to pay attention to what I'm doing and saying. So initially, you're going to need to know that this green hand here matches this blue hand here. The longer hand is the minute hand, and the word minute is longer than the word hour, which is the shorter hand or the orange hand on the screen and the red hand here. All right. The blue line that you see on the screen is actually a second hand, but we won't need that for today's purposes. So whenever the minute hand is pointing exactly at the 12, or in this case also you might see zeros or 60 minutes up there or just nothing, but when it's pointed exactly straight up, that's the o'clock time, meaning that there's 0 minutes after the hour. The hour in this case is 10 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, at least on that one, we'll make this one match. 10 o'clock runs from the 10 all the way just before it hits the 11. So for example, that orange hand is still in the 10 o'clock hour for 60 minutes until it actually hits 11 o'clock, which is now. Does that make sense? All right, so I have 60 minutes to each hour. Now, that's easy to tell when it's pointed exactly straight up. We know that's the o'clock time. So on here, we would write it, and you don't need these two, the seconds here. You just need the 11 o'clock, okay? So this is digital when there's a colon in the middle of the hours and the minutes. This is an analog clock. When both are pointed straight up, it's exactly 12 o'clock. We're not going to worry about AM or PM right now. Okay. The other part you need to know is that not only does the clock 60 minutes, but we can divide this circle into, from here to here, into halves. So there's 1/2, 2 halves, and half of 60 minutes is 30. So half past an hour is 30 minutes. Okay? 30 minutes until the next hour is another way I could say it. Or I could have said that this was 1 or 12:30. So the 12 yard is from the 12 all the way till just before it hits the 1 o'clock time. So this is still 12 yard. So it's 12:30 on the clock. I can also say that as 30 minutes past 12 o'clock, 30 minutes until 1 o'clock, because if I go another 30 minutes, it's 1 o'clock. Or I can say, instead of 30 minutes past 12 o'clock, I could say half past 12. So you might hear somebody saying that. All right. So those are two of the things that you need to know, the o'clock and the half past, or the 30-minute mark. Now, between each number, here is where we start with 0. Even though it says 12 up there for the 12 o'clock time, it's the 0-minute mark. This is 5 minutes. When we get to the 2, think of 2 times 5 is 10. 15 minutes. Well, notice this is a nice quarter of the clock. So in this case, it's quarter after 12 o'clock, which looks like 12:15. Or it's another quarter is another 15, another 15 is 30, and another 15 is 45 minutes before it would be 1 o'clock. So that's another way I could say it. So 15 minutes past 12 o'clock, quarter after 12 o'clock or past, and 45 minutes before 1 o'clock. So these are all things you're going to need to know. If I go to here, we said this was the 30 mark or the halfway mark. But if I go another 15 minutes, I've now gone 3/4 of the way around. So this is 1/4 to here, 2/4, 3/4. And 3/4 of a clock is 45 minutes. Let's double check that out. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes. So 45 minutes after 12 o'clock, which is 12:45. Okay. And in this case, it's also 5, 10, 15 minutes until it will be 1 o'clock. Or 3/4 of the way past the hour. So there's a lot of ways you might hear somebody say the time when it's at the 15 mark after, when it's at the 30 mark after, and when it's at the 45 mark after. So you might hear it multiple ways. Now, knowing that information, we're going to look at your work. So on page 179, you're going to need your math packet. Go to page 179, have your clock, pencil, eraser if you need it, and I'm going to show you some of the times how we're going to say it and how you're going to finish off this page and what's expected. So go grab those items, pause me during the meantime, and when you come back, hit play. All right, good. Now you have all your supplies. So for number 1, 2, 3, and 4, they want the time exactly to the hour. So in this case, it is exactly 9 o'clock. The hours on this side, the left side of the colon, and the minutes are on the right. So that's how we write 9 o'clock. Down here, they want to say, how do you say it? You just write 9 o'clock. So you're going to finish 2, 3, and 4 on your own. Down here, for number 5, we can look at that, and I'm going to look at my clock here. And I first am going to look at what is that clock, whose yard is that clock in? So, meaning the shorthand, the shorter fat hand is in the 8's yard, because if we look here, we go in between here, it's the 8 until it gets to the 9. That fat hand is the hour hand. So the 8 o'clock is going to be here in the hours. And then it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes past the hour. Okay, so it's going to be 8 is the hour and 45 minutes. So you're going to write that time looking like that, 8:45. Now, other ways I can say it, 45 minutes after 8. So I just literally took the 45 and put it here, wrote minutes, and said after 8. That's one way we could do it. So any of them that have the minute hand over here, that's how you're going to do it. Just make sure you include the correct hour. Another way that you could say that is 8:45 or until 9. It's because, or you could say 15 minutes until 9, because it's 5, 10, 15 more minutes until 9 o'clock. So if I look at here, 5, 10, 15. So from here, try not to get a glare, to here, it's 15 minutes until 9, or a quarter of an hour until 9. So 8:45. So those are 2 ways we could say it other than saying 8:45. They don't want you saying that. The only time you can do that is when it's at the old clock time. Okay, so let's look at number 7. That's also a similar thing, but now we're after only 15 minutes, not 45, because 5, 10, 15. But the hour hand, the fatter hand, is between the 3 and the 4. So it's in 3's yard. So it's 3:15. We could say 15 minutes after 3. So again, I just took that 15, put it here, minutes after 3. What hour will it be next? 4. So it could be 45 minutes before 4 o'clock or quarter after 3. So instead of saying 15 minutes after 3, I could say quarter after. So they encourage you to use the word quarter when it's 15 before or after an hour. That's kind of more sophisticated for adults. You might hear say that's what they mean when they say quarter after the hour or quarter until the hour. So the next one is our half mark. So it's in 1's yard, the hour, and halfway around the clock we said was 30 minutes. So like I said before, we can say that it's 30 minutes after 1 o'clock, right? So I can say that. Or 30 minutes until 2, but we can also use the term half past 2. So instead of 30 minutes after, or half past 1, if instead of saying 30 minutes after 1, I could say half past 1. Okay, so you could say half past when it's 30 minutes past. You don't say half to, just so you know. You could say 30 minutes until or 30 minutes to, but don't say half to. It's half past. All right. I want you to try and finish 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, and 12. You should have filled in these other ones that we did together. You're going to take a picture. You're going to upload it to a Google Doc, then share it with me as page 179. If you have problems with it, review this video. All right. Good luck.